Good evening. I'm your host, Karen Hudis, in this series on the network of global corporate control. Today's segment is live and follows last week's segment about avoiding World War III. Thanks to DCTV, to Carmen Stanley, studio producer and director, Maurice Jackson, audio and teleprompter, and Jamie Fain, floor director. Either we succeed in having a global currency reset and exchange the banking cartel's worthless paper for local currencies issued by villages and towns and national currencies out of the world's monetary gold reserves in the global debt facility, or we all perish. How can I be so sure? This is because of a very accurate game theory model of the way coalitions form that came to me from the National War College in 2004. This model is 90 to 95% accurate and has been simulating reality. There is now a coalition for the rule of law which is stronger than the banking cartel. The existence of the banking cartel at the center of the world's financial system was first reported by 3 mathematicians at the Federal Institute of Technology in 2011. Vitalik Glatfelder and Battiston called this super entity the network of global corporate control. I am at the very center of the coalition for the rule of law. Evidence that the coalition for the rule of law exists can be seen many ways: in correspondence, in the abdication of Emperor Hirohito, in the Brexit vote, the creation of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank as predicted by the power transition model. Another thing to watch for, according to the power transition model, is for the United States minus the Federal Reserve to join the rest of its allies, including Japan and Germany, which both depend on the U.S. under status of forces treaties. The only way the U.S. can honor these treaties is to access its monetary gold reserves in the global debt facility. I have already informed Japan's and Germany's defense attachés that the U.S. is going to honor its treaties with Japan and Germany. This is going to keep the world out of World War III. José Rizal, who was then the superior general of the Jesuits, deposited the world's monetary gold reserves and other wealth of the world with the World Bank and International Monetary Fund at the end of World War II, as we have seen. A person sent me the minutes of the meeting where José Rizal deposited the world's monetary gold reserves, right after I stated that José Rizal was pure Malay and not descended from the Talanos. Wolfgang Struck lied that José Rizal was a foundling descended from the Talanos rather than a true son of his Malay parents. Wolfgang Struck lied in an attempt to steal the land in the Philippines from its people. Wolfgang Struck has tried many times to steal the assets in the global debt facility, including one attempt to sell the Treaty of Versailles bonds issued by the Fed back to the Fed at a steep discount. I did not approve this sale. It was for $2 quadrillion. Most recently, I have frustrated another attempt by Wolfgang Struck to transfer the assets in the global debt facility back to the banking cartel. On the 24th of June, I tweeted my response to Wolfgang. And I said, "Dear Wolfgang," and you can read this in the teleprompter. And there were some other people that Wolfgang had copied. Ray, U.S. Marcos Gold and Platinum. Courts are agents of the banking cartel. Marcos and Rizal knew this. They provided, and the banking cartel agreed in the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement, that courts have no jurisdiction. You say you were not stealing assets from humanity. Your actions belie your words. You say you need me because of my hatred of the Philippines people. On the contrary, I am preventing the people in the Philippines, along with the rest of humanity, from World War III. I'm also freeing them from the corrupt banking cartel and bondage arising from the corrupt fractional reserve fiat monetary system. I'm doing this because I am working together with the Coalition for the Rule of Law as predicted by the power transition model from the U.S. National War College, which has a track record of 90 to 95% for accuracy. You need me because I speak for the Board of Governors of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, whom Rizal and Marcos set up to represent humanity under paragraph 6 of the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement. And then I signed the letter. And then I sent him, Wolfgang, another letter, and this was the day before. He keeps sending me all kinds of attempts to steal the world's wealth. Subject, U.S. Marcos Gold Platinum. Dear Wolfgang Struck, you are sending me emails that are wholly without effect. Your attempt to interpret my silence as assent is incorrect. I am simply ignoring you as a person who has succeeded in discrediting himself through failed attempts to steal the assets belonging to humanity. I repeat that you have not been authenticated by the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF as required under the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement, which governs. And I signed it as Acting General Counsel of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development and Overseer Mandate Trustee. This morning, I got another email from Wolfgang. This time, he was trying to limit the amount of wealth that is covered by the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement. Wolfgang did not claim that he had been telling me the truth and offered no apologies for his lies. The banking cartel had their agents raise questions trying to attack the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement in the YouTube comments section of the archives for this series. This agreement, signed by Eisenhower and Truman, is what is keeping humanity out of World War III and is how we are going to accomplish the global currency reset. It's a very important treaty, obviously, and is the key. The banking cartel and its agents are exposed when secrecy was required. The banking cartel tried through the comments section in our archives on YouTube to repair some of the damage. This only backfired. The banking cartel and its agents have no explanations, and as a result, they are bankrupted under commercial liens. Their silence has indicted them. Donald Trump, Neil Gorsuch, Sandy Okoro, the World Bank General Counsel, who was fired and not a single embassy protested. Muriel Bowser, D.C.'s mayor, Joseph Dunford, who has become a laughingstock with tweets showing his trousers around his ankles. Renwick Payne, that traitor who allows UN troops on U.S. soil without mobilizing state militia or the National Guard. Peter Newsham, D.C.'s police chief, J. Thomas Manger, Montgomery County Police Chief, and president of the Major Cities Chiefs of Police Association. Let me paint the picture for you. The banking cartel is whipsawed right now as I show all of the corruption in the international financial system to a growing Internet audience. During my 20-plus years in the World Bank's legal department, and for the 2 years that this series has been on air, we have exposed the international financial system from top to bottom in a sting operation. The banking cartel's attempt to stay hidden has backfired, leaving an incriminating trail of broken links and screenshots of disappearing YouTube comments. Helpful hackers remind me of especially embarrassing tweets from the past, which I'm happy to retweet. At the very center of the operation is 2 quadrillion in Treaty of Versailles bonds. Those were gold bonds that were issued in the 1930s by the Federal Reserve Bank. People who owned Treaty of Versailles bonds worth $270 trillion also appointed Jose Rizal to represent them. I get to speak for humanity because I've been working with other whistleblowers in the World Bank to report corruption ever since I joined the World Bank in 1986. I recorded liens for this 2 quadrillion in debt with the Secretaries of State in the 11 states that the 12 Federal Reserve Banks are located. These bonds offset all country debt. These bonds have placed the banking cartel into receivership in the global debt facility, as determined by the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF, for whom I speak. The global currency reset is a project that all of humanity has agreed to, beginning with 189 ministers of finance and development on the Board of Governors of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, who control the world's wealth in a trust fund called the Global Debt Facility. This trust fund was established at the end of World War II by Jose Rizal and Ferdinand Marcos. Jose Rizal signed over the world's wealth as then Superior General of the Society of Jesus, and Ferdinand Marcos was his lawyer. And then I'm showing you an old tweet, and you can see the picture of that. My question at that time was, who is the one that's missing the big picture? Why is my comment awaiting moderation? And you can see in the link on the teleprompter where I had commented. The spring meetings placed the Bank for International Settlements and its 60 central banks into receivership in the Global Debt Facility, which, as we have mentioned, is a trust fund that is administered by the Board of Governors of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Why is the media ignoring this watershed? Because of corruption in the international financial system. Is dollars and cents also a gatekeeper for the now defunct network of global corporate control? Obviously it is. And I'm showing you links in the teleprompter where you can see more. Why do I say this? I know this from the power transition model that came to the World Bank from the National War College in 2004, and it's 90 to 95% accurate. The corruption in the paper money is now in full view thanks to DCTV and to the people who are all working to spread the word. Some agents of the banking cartel, named Jim Willie and Kos Janssen, tried to trick people into thinking that the banking cartel has the U.S. monetary gold reserves. They did this with a bogus Freedom of Information Act request, which I exposed as a hoax. The documents supposedly released by the Treasury are fake. Meanwhile, neither Jim Willie nor Kos Janssen have explained the conflict between their bogus Freedom of Information audit and earlier documents released on the Internet by the U.S. Treasury. There was no physical audit of gold held by the Federal Reserve. The Fed has no gold. In reality, there has only been a fraudulent paper audit. How do I know this? It's because the Treasury and Office of Inspector General audit was only done by looking at a paper schedule. the qualified language of the Office of Inspector General saying that they simply did a paper audit, and the language to this effect in the schedule was removed from the internet. Then I located the report showing that there was only a paper audit of the gold held by the Fed by using a Wayback Machine on the internet. I exposed this hoax on the DCTV segment on the 7th of March. Kos Janssen and Jim Willey, in the meantime, have not defended themselves because they, just like Donald Trump, Neil Gorsuch, General Joseph Dunford Jr., Muriel Bowser, Sandy Okoro, Peter Newsham, are lying. I'm a caretaker and vote the U.S. shares on the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF until the U.S. Constitution of 1789 goes back into effect. The world's monetary gold reserves will be coming out to replace the paper currencies of the banking cartel. The banking cartel is trying unsuccessfully through comments on the archives of this series to explain away the treaty that was drawn up by the elites and governments at the end of World War II. And it was signed for the U.S. by Dwight Eisenhower and President Truman. This is where the world's monetary gold reserves were deposited with the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF. This very important treaty that is going to keep the world out of World War II is called the Bilateral Minefield Breakthrough Successor Agreement. And here is the first comment attacking the Bilateral Minefield Breakthrough Successor Agreement on the YouTube archives. It was from a fellow named Francis Yalanga. Karen, way back in 1934 of Treaty of Versailles, Paris, the whole world leaders signed an agreement to the Philippines. What's your right to change the Treaty of Versailles agreement, which was the real agreement among the world leaders that lets and cause for that supports world debt, which the entire world leaders signed for that treaty? What's your right to destroy the treaty which was sealed by the whole world leaders? Find me a binding authority that you have to destroy the treaty. What's your right that holds you to change and destroy the treaty? Can you show me proof? Who told you to change and destroy the treaty? And my response: the Treaty of Versailles established the League of Nations and war reparations for Germany and led up to World War II. The Bilateral Minefield Breakthrough Successor Agreement marked the end of World War II. It was the outbreak of World War II that ended the Treaty of Versailles. And you are ignoring the $2 quadrillion of debt from the Treaty of Versailles bonds. Moreover, you are an agent of the banking cartel or a sock puppet. And then I said that YouTube didn't post my response, but I did a screenshot of it, which you can see in the teleprompter, and that's what I had read you. Francis Yalan looks like a banking cartel agent or a sock puppet. I did not destroy the Treaty of Versailles. World War II did, and so did war reparations for Germany. The Bank for International Settlements and Banking Cartel grew out of World War I. The Bilateral Minefield Breakthrough Successor Agreement ended World War II, and that is the treaty that we're working with. And Francis Yalden also had another comment. He said, Karen, you said you didn't change the treaty. What's your proof that the Bilateral Minefield Breakthrough Successor Agreement ended? Show me the proof and documents that shows it ended. However, what is the cause or purpose? Why is it that every nation doesn't want or is afraid to pay their debts? In reality, why is it every nation suffers economic chaos? The big problem as of now, the whole world, destroyed the said Bilateral Minefield Agreement. Check, check, check. Why? Oh, by the way, for your big information, I'm not one of the banking cartel agent or a sock puppet, as what you said. You don't know who you're talking to. You'll know me when the right time and the right place comes. I'm for economic currency reset, for gold currency, for your information. And so my response. Shills put word in my mouth that I didn't say. The bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement did not end. National debt is a scam. Francis Yolanin, I know you're a shill because you put words in my mouth that I never said. Right time and place. You are a shill for all time and all places. I speak for the Board of Governors of the World Bank and IMF, and I also speak for the United States on the Board of Governors, and I'm speaking for the rest of humanity on the global currency reset, provided that I keep to the bare minimum to accomplish the winding down of the banking cartel until the grassroots in the villages clear out the corruption. And then Francis Yolanin, 3 hours ago, said, at your first statement, you've said, Karen, you sound like a dumbbell ended World War II, and now you've said it didn't end. What is up to you? Find me proof and documents that says national debt is a scam. You explain it to us why national debt is a scam. You have no power and grounds at all. Karen, with regards to the real truth of the matters, you're just proving yourself that you're one of the real authentic banking cartel's certified agent. You don't even know who's the grantor of the wealth. The grantor, for your information, Karen, is alive, which is former President Ferdinand Marcos. You better shape up who you're siding with. And so I responded, this is my second attempt to answer your comment. YouTube erased the first. I have recorded the 2 quadrillion in Treaty of Versailles bonds held by the Global Debt Facility with the Secretaries of State of the 11 states where the Federal Reserve banks are located. I filed this debt with the Universal Postal Union in a notarial protest. I refused to allow Wolfgang Struck to sell this debt back to the Fed at a discount. I cleared a letter to Jesse White, the Secretary of State in Chicago, with all of the ministers of finance invalidating an attempt by the Secretary of State of Chicago to invalidate the financing statement that I filed on behalf of the Global Debt Facility. In writing this response, I found out that the banking cartel tried to erase these documents. Instead, I put them back up on the internet. Grantor of the wealth, humanity has toiled to create this wealth, and it's being returned to humanity. I will continue to upload the documents which the banking cartel keeps on trying to erase. In reviewing the most popular tweets and other posts in my social media, people are now very interested in following this unfolding saga. They're also concerned about my safety. Here is one of the comments that show this, from Lynn Purcell. I'm sorry, but I really don't understand what you're saying. I'm confused of what you're talking about. You say you've been attacked many times, physically attacked. Did you file charges? This is very disturbing if true. And I said to Lynn, thank you for asking this question. Yes, I've been attacked by very potent military weapons, as well as the karate chop, which I spoke about in the previous segment. And I've been nearly run off the road. My car has been sabotaged. I've received very pointed threats, some of which I've tweeted and some of which I've ignored. I've been arrested and released twice. I don't intimidate. What I've done instead is to bankrupt the police officers responsible for my arrests, as well as the other agents of the banking cartel who are trying to keep humanity from their wealth. All of humanity is united, and we are socking it to the banking cartel. What do you mean, if true? Of course, everything I say is true. In all the years I've been whistleblowing, I've documented each and every assertion. What I couldn't prove, I very publicly renounced. Followers saw how YouTube erased comments and hid them behind View All Comments buttons, and were using agents to try and shape opinions. YouTube also recommended videos by disinformation agents. People also see this censorship in other media, including my declining an invitation to go on Richie Allen's show when he was not willing for me to talk about the global debt facility or about solutions. The banking cartel is working overtime to try and shape people's perceptions of reality. I've already called out YouTube for hiding the most important of my responses behind View All Comments buttons and using sock puppets and other agents of the banking cartel to ask loaded questions. I went back to review the comments pages, and YouTube, which is owned by Google, and that's part of the banking cartel, didn't seem to mind that its shenanigans were on view. They kept at it and also recommended banking cartel propaganda to the people who view the DCTV archives on my channel. I like to talk about the conversations in my social media. These are important because they show that humanity is all working together to end the corruption in the world's monetary system. At the end of the teleprompter, you can see that this is an open process. And then there's a letter from Kevin, which was sent to me in May 2015. I read your latest analysis where you mentioned the CIA as crooks not working for America. The CIA are Knights of Malta in service to the authority of Rome, and they're working against the American Republic. Also, Karen, I came across a speech from General Douglas MacArthur that might interest you, and possibly you might find use of that speech. He addressed the Massachusetts State Legislature on July 25, 1951. I find in existence a new and heretofore unknown and dangerous concept that the members of our armed forces owe primary allegiance and loyalty to those who temporarily exercise the authority of the executive branch of government, rather than to the country and its constitution, which they are sworn to defend. No proposition could be more dangerous. None could cast a greater doubt upon the integrity of the armed services, for its application would at once convert them from their traditional and constitutional role as the instrument for the defense of the Republic into something partaking of the nature of a Praetorian Guard, owing its allegiance to the political master of the hour. Karen, that speech where General MacArthur mentions the Praetorian Guard shows that the authority of Rome are known within America's armed forces. And we're now scrolling down to the outro because I have 1 minute left. We've been dealing with divide and conquer this week, and you can see that in the teleprompter. I want to thank you for listening to another segment of the Network of Global Corporate Control. We have seen that YouTube is trying to convince you of a different reality, and they've simply exposed themselves. If anybody doubted whether the banking cartel existed, they can see that it exists by the way it's hiding comments, your comments, to the YouTube archives. Oh, I've got a couple more minutes. Well, that's wonderful. Oh, I'm to wrap it up. Well, see you next week for the 4th of July segment, which we're taping later tonight. Good night.